Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into some really significant material you shared with us, excerpts from Surah Al-An'am, chapter 6 of the Quran. It's often called the cattle.
That's right. And Surah Al-An'am, it's foundational. These parts we're looking at, they cover so much. Allah's oneness, his creation, the role of messengers.
And how they were often rejected, right? Plus, divine signs, warnings, guidance.
Exactly. All of that. So our mission really is to unpack these key themes, pull out the core ideas, and maybe find some insights that make you think.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning, the foundation. Allah's oneness and his role as creator. Verse 1 hits hard. All praise belongs to Allah, creator of heavens, earth, light, darkness.
And straight away, it condemns those who equate others with him. It's unequivocal.
Absolutely, it attributes everything, even light and darkness, just to him. Sets the stage.
It really does. It's the bedrock principle. Any kind of shared worship is presented as just fundamentally wrong from the get-go.
Then verse 2 moves to us, to humanity, created from clay, given a lifespan, but also this determined time. Seems like the resurrection.
Yes, the resurrection and accountability. And yet, the verse notes, people doubt. We know we're here for a limited time, but that future reckoning.
It's harder to grasp for some, that tension between the seen and unseen.
Precisely. And verse 3 doubles down. Allah is the one to be worshipped everywhere. Heaven's earth. He knows everything.
What's hidden, what's open, even what we earn, good or bad, it's incredibly comprehensive.
Nothing is outside his knowledge or authority. From the cosmos down to our most private thoughts and actions, this lays the groundwork for, responsibility, judgment later on.
And verse 102 echoes this again, right? Allah is Lord, no God but him, creator of all things. Worship him alone.
A powerful reaffirmation.
Yeah.
And then 103 adds another layer.
Ah, yes, that no vision can grasp him, but he grasps all vision. It really speaks to our limitations.
It perfectly captures his transcendence. We can't fully comprehend him with our senses, but he's aware of everything. All subtle, all aware. It suggests a perception way beyond ours.
So after establishing that foundation, the surah shifts focus. It talks about the messengers and the signs, the ayat they brought.
Right, and verse 4 points out this pattern, a consistent rejection, people just turning away from the signs.
And ayat here means signs versus proofs.
Exactly, divine proofs. And it's presented as this historical constant. Messengers come with evidence, but they face indifference, disbelief, sometimes hostility.
It makes you ask why. Is it ignorance or something deeper?
Well, verse 5 gives a pretty stark perspective. It says the truth, the Quran, Muhammad's message was rejected, and so torment will follow.
So rejecting divine guidance isn't just disagreeing, it has serious consequences, according to this.
That's how it's framed, yes.
Yeah.
Serious spiritual ramifications. And verse 6 backs this up historically, pointing to past generations.
Right. Nations that were established had plenty, but were destroyed because of their sins. A cautionary tale.
Definitely. Then verse 7 gives that almost unbelievable hypothetical.
Oh, yeah. The message written on paper, they could touch it.
And they'd still call it obvious magic.
It says so much about the nature of some disbelief. It's not always about lack of evidence.
Seems like it can stem from something internal, a refusal to accept, almost regardless of the proof. A closed heart, maybe?
And then verses 8 and 9 tackle that question. Why not just send an angel?
And the answer given is fascinating. If an angel came, judgment would be instant. No room for faith, for choice.
So the human messenger allows for connection, empathy, a real test of belief.
That seems to be the wisdom presented. Following someone outwardly like you tests faith more deeply than being overwhelmed by an angelic presence.
Verse 10 then reminds us that earlier messengers faced mockery too. And the mockers, they were eventually surrounded by what they mocked.
A clear theme of justice there. Reject the truth, and eventually reality catches up. It's a warning, but also maybe reassurance that truth prevails in the end.
Jumping slightly, verse 13 states again, everything in the night and day belongs to Allah. He's all-hearing, all-knowing.
This constant repetition of his attributes, power, knowledge, sovereignty, it anchors everything. It's the foundation for all the guidance and warnings that follow.
And verse 14 is very direct. Declare Allah as the only wali.
The helper, protector, Lord.
Yes, and absolutely no worshiping other deities. It's a clear call for pure monotheism.
That's the absolute core, isn't it?
Yeah.
Allah's oneness, rejecting any partners.
Yeah.
Everything else revolves around the central point in these texts.
Then verse 20 brings up the people of the scripture, Jews and Christians. It says they recognize the truth in Muhammad's message.
But many still don't believe. It's a conscious choice, even with some recognition.
So knowing something intellectually isn't the same as accepting it in your heart.
Exactly. Other things can get in the way, pride, tradition, maybe other interests. It's a complex human response.
Verse 21 then talks about the seriousness of inventing lies against Allah or rejecting his signs. The consequences are presented as, well, dire.
It frames distorting or denying divine truth as a major offense, not just a minor mistake. It has significant weight.
Moving to verses 34 and 35, there's comfort for the messenger. Other messengers face denial too. Be patient.
Right. It puts his struggles in historical context. Rejection is part of the pattern.
And it adds that even compelling signs won't force belief if Allah doesn't will it. It highlights divine will over human persuasion.
It underscores that guidance is ultimately seen as a grace, not something humans can force. There are limits to our influence.
Verse 36 then offers a contrast. Only those who really listen will respond. The dead in heart won't.
That's a powerful metaphor. Dead in heart, spiritually unresponsive.
But then it promises Allah will raise the dead, so accountability is coming for everyone.
Yes, that future reckoning is always there. The spiritual deafness now will have consequences later. Ultimate justice.
And verse 39 describes rejectors as deaf, dumb, in darkness. But Allah guides whom he wills.
It shows both sides. The self-imposed consequence of rejection, spiritual blindness, and the idea that guidance is ultimately a divine gift bestowed according to his wisdom.
Okay, let's shift to the warnings and consequences, which are quite explicit. Verse 15 talks about fearing disobedience and the torment of a mighty day. Sets a serious tone.
It really brings accountability front and center. Fear of punishment is presented as a key motivator for following the guidance.
But then verse 16 balances it, saying being saved from that torment is purely Allah's mercy.
Absolutely. Salvation isn't just earned. It hinges on divine grace. It's a balance between warning and hope.
Verses 22 and 23 give us that scene on Judgment Day the polytheists questioned about their false gods.
I'm having no answer, no justification.
Verse 24 says their lies against themselves become clear.
It shows the futility of false worship when faced with the ultimate reality. Those idols offer no help then. It exposes the falsehood.
Verse 25 again describes those who hear but don't understand. Veils on hearts, deafness, blindness to signs, willful ignorance.
It paints a picture of a self-imposed barrier. The message gets through physically, but their inner state blocks it.
And verse 27 captures their regret facing hellfire, wishing they could go back and believe.
A desperate wish. But verse 28 is sobering.
Saying even if they went back, their disbelief would likely return. That's unsettling.
It really underscores the finality of it all. The chance is now, in this life. That regret highlights the immense loss of rejecting the message.
The excerpts also stress Allah's absolute power. Verse 17, if he touches you with harm, only he can remove it. If good, only he can grant it.
Total reliance on him. It reinforces his ultimate control over everything, good times and bad, encourages dependence on him alone.
And verse 59, the keys of the unseen. His knowledge is just staggering. Land, sea, every leaf, every grain in darkness.
All recorded in a clear record. It emphasizes the sheer scope of his awareness. Nothing, absolutely nothing escapes him. It's meant to be awe-inspiring.
Okay, let's pivot finally to the guidance offered. Verse 71 calls directly, abandon false gods, follow Allah's guidance, true monotheism.
A very clear instruction. And then verses 151 to 153 lay out specific commandments.
Don't associate partners with Allah, number 1. Be good to parents. Don't kill children fearing poverty. Avoid immorality, unjust killing. Uphold justice.
A whole ethical framework. And this package is explicitly called the straight path.
So it's practical guidance for living a righteous life, all stemming from that core principle of monotheism.
Exactly. Ethical conduct, social responsibility, following divine law that's presented as the clear path to salvation and pleasing God. Calling it the straight path highlights its clarity and importance.
So wrapping up this deep dive into these parts of Surah Al-An'am, wow, it's a powerful, sweeping message we've encountered.
Definitely. The absolute oneness of Allah is just hammered home, constantly reinforced by his role as creator, sustainer.
We saw the importance of messengers, the signs they brought, but also that recurring pattern of rejection.
And the very real consequences laid out for disbelief, culminating on the Day of Judgment.
But woven through all those warnings, there's also this clear guidance, practical steps towards a righteous life.
Precisely. These verses really give you insight into the core message. Acknowledge Allah's sovereignty, heed the guidance, live righteously, and anticipate that final judgment. It's all interconnected.
So, on that note, here's something for you, our listener, to maybe mull over. Think about that balance, the versus present. Allah's absolute power and knowledge on one hand.
And our human responsibility for our choices on the other.
Exactly. How does really internalizing Allah's complete authority shape how you view your own actions, your own accountability? It's definitely something to reflect on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.